Hi, good day. This is Moses here again. We are posting and we are asking for you not to comment, subscribe, and like, but at least criticize. If you could make a critical analysis of the information provided, thank you. We also sell the Curio protocol, which is downstairs here. $6 is just a one-page poster that you get forced to put in our channel by paying $6. And maybe if you feel inspired, you could also give a donation. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Again, we're looking at the two most important discoveries according to our non-science, and this has nothing to do with science. This is not medical advice. This is just common sense advice being done by Moses. I am Moses, and therefore daytime, sun is shining and everybody is happy. Let's talk about what's happening inside the cells. Mitochondria is active. The sun is shining, the mitochondria is out. They are sensing the light from the sun, which mainly the red light stimulates them. So if you don't have sunshine, red light would stimulate mitochondria. When mitochondria is stimulated or is really active, they want the source of glucose. Well, not only glucose, there are other sources they could use, but glucose is just the abundant, easy one to convert into ATP. Remember, glucose is not the energy. ATP is the energy, but glucose is the input to metabolize to make ATP. So let's go right through the cycle. We are eating glucose in the day. Where does glucose come from? Plants. Plants are the source of glucose. So when you read Moses' rule, which says, eat your bread, the source of glucose, which would have come from plants. Bread would have been a mixture of all the wheat and the oat, the barley, the rye, whatever they had to make their bread. Eat your source of glucose in the day. He is trying to tell the people of Israel, well, as we know, when you eat plants, it doesn't stay in the acidic stomach. It really runs to the small intestine and starts the absorption process pretty fast, getting glucose molecules to the liver, which gets translated into the copper pipes called the bloodstream. Moving across the copper pipes, they move to the spleen or wherever other organs, and they get into the cells, the muscle cells included, and they are there to supply Mr. Mitochondria. There are a lot of mitochondria in here, mitochondria, plural, singular, whatever it means, and they are active. They are eating the glucose molecule and making ATP, and you are energetic. That is the daytime. What happens when that sun sinks beyond the horizon? Sun sinks beyond the horizon, mitochondria's activities start going down. So let's say you had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's lots more. They say 500. In some cases, they say the liver has up to 2005 mitochondria in one little house, one cell. But they would start sleeping as the red light from the sun start going down. And so when they start sleeping and you keep on putting more glucose, more plants in your stomach, going to the small intestine, that process doesn't stop, my friend. That process here doesn't stop. The digestive process doesn't stop. So glucose comes onto this piece of wire, goes to the liver and goes to the blood, and glucose is in the blood flowing here, going to the organs. But when it reaches to the cells are not accepting glucose at this time, because the glucose eaters, mitochondria, is really and truly in a more relaxed, deactivated state. They sense that the light is no longer there, so they leave this and they leave it out for the ribosomes to start their activity at night. Ribosomes are the ones which need amino acids, fatty acids, minerals, and it's the same process. It's just that protein or meat stays here for a longer time. Dietary protein or meat stays here for a longer time to become amino acids for absorption here. So in the night time, the pipe should be traveling with amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins and minerals, A, D, E, and K, to get to the same cell, but this time the eaters are the ribosomes who eats those things and converts them into protein. Total different, night and day, mitochondria, ribosomes. Now there are other organelles inside here that does many wonderful things, because remember, the ribosomes have to get healed, mitochondria to get healed, and they are little guys solving everything. But that's not what we're looking at. We're looking at the bigger picture. The fact of the matter is, we are saying plants in the evening. When you eat plants in the evening, you are supplying that which plants is good at, glucose. So look at this here. If this is in the night, you supply a glucose molecule, and here is an amino acid, floating around the same pipe. When the ribosomes here in the night makes a protein and they send it back out, because not all protein goes out of the cell. A good protein goes out to the cell to go and serve some function. It gets out back into the copper pipe. If you have a molecule of or many molecules of glucose just floating around here idly, they start sticking onto the protein and deforming the protein. And so the protein that this ribosome would have take its time to spin out now is outside here looking like some big Frankenstein monster licking down a whole set of glucose on it. So we do not need to have glucose in our bodies at night. The mitochondria are at sleep. They cannot work. Of course, if you are active in the night, then you know this principle might be a little different. You're active. If you use red light in the night before you go to sleep, you'll realize, for those who are diabetic, use red light before you go to sleep, you'll realize how your sugar levels are controlled. Why? Because you are stimulating mitochondria in the evening by keeping on a red light. You're making them think that the sun is out by fixing them with a normal red light. When I say red light, that's a device you could buy on Amazon. But by doing this to eat glucose, when you go to sleep, you need to sleep, because the ribosomes would function very well when you are in deep sleep. You want all your ribosomes to be spinning out proteins to be healing your body at night, where whatever organs that are damaged, the messages goes back to the nucleus, maybe up to the brain, and then down to the nucleus of that cell that is responsible for making certain proteins. And so that is where a messenger RNA sends from the nucleus comes to the ribosome, and the ribosome says, oh, so that is the kind of protein I have to spin out. Look at it, it says make a AAAFFFF, and that comes, and ribosome pulls methionine, different amino acid chains, and spits out a protein, because a protein is basically joining amino acids together. Of course, there's another issue. If you don't supply the amino acids here, my friends, what do you think happens? You are in a deficit. So you can't even make the healing protein, even though the ribosomes are there with the message saying make that healing protein. You don't supply the amino acids from the gut, like you don't eat the meats in the evening, or you don't get your plant-based amino acid, or your plant-based supplements, or supplements will give you amino acid, fatty acids, and vitamins. Then you don't supply it into the copper pipes in the night. Then your ribosomes are there waiting to do the work, but they don't have the raw materials. We end up in deficit. And when you end up in deficit, the liver gets involved and says, let me eat some muscles from this guy on the left leg, right leg, stomach, whatever, because that's the basic idea of getting amino acid. So this is a article here that is shared for you. It is clear now, and the article was written really and truly to say, when I get questions about when do I take vitamin this and vitamin that, well, we know they are fat soluble vitamins. The thinking is you have to stop following all the advice and start thinking for yourself. Plants provide glucose. Glucose is very important for mitochondria. Mitochondria makes one reactive oxygen species. When things don't go right, they do make ROS, which is in the glucose process, and this ROS is a water soluble ROS. You don't need to know that. What you need to know is plants come with vitamin C. Vitamin C is your antioxidant for mitochondria. Animal come with its own antioxidant, which is vitamin A, D, E, and K. If you eat the liver, it's meat, so you eat it in the evening. If you take cod liver oil, you eat it with the meat. These things you just say, if it's an animal source, it's supposed to be the evening meal, 4-5 hours before I sleep. So you don't confuse yourself with whether it's a supplement. You say omega-3. When should I take my omega-3? You don't confuse yourself. Where does omega-3 come from? Fatty fish. Okay, it's an animal base. Well, take it with your 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock meal, which is your meat meal. Your meal full of meat. Meat and meat alone. Where does beef liver capsule come from? Oh, from a beef. Where does milk come from? Well, don't get confused. Milk comes from animals. So you start thinking that way, and so you sort things out. Okay, vitamin C. Where does vitamin C come from? It comes from plants, my friend. Vitamin C is naturally found in all the plants, because the glucose process creates so much of ROS that it has to create this antioxidant called vitamin C to dilute it somewhere along the line. Vitamin B, B12, folate, B9 comes from the plants, a lot from the plants, so you could say you are getting that in a day, so B9. But when it comes to B12 is found in meat, so you definitely say if you're taking a B12, it's best to take the B12 with your meat meal in the evening. And of course, when you go through the digestive process and you understand vitamin B9, you have anything they call intrinsic factor to deal with it. We don't see that. B9 and those don't give the same challenges. They are water soluble. B12 is not water soluble in the stomach. It is a water soluble system in the blood, and you could pee it out if you have too much. But the digestive process to get B12 to come out from the liver and the beef and those things is critical. So if you're taking a B12 supplement, you more than likely need to say where B12 naturally is coming from in nature, from meat. So you should be loading B12 in your meat. Or if you don't eat in meat and you have to take a B12 supplement, you take it with the meat meal. That is oral B12. Of course, we have new type of B12 where you could just suck them, which you might be able to take them at any time in the day. They call them sublingual B12. You just stick it under your tongue. B12 is critical for everybody who are low on B12. You find that out from your doctor. So you could read this paper if you're interested. Thank you so much for viewing. Again, click on the link and buy the protocol just to support this channel.